Joining us now is Christopher Kim. He's the executive director of the non-profit organization HanVoice. The organization works to empower North Korean defectors as well as mobilize Canadians to help create a free and prosperous North Korea. It's nice to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
You know, when I read, when I listen, when I watch discussions about North Korea and South Korea, I see a lot of experts. I see some South Koreans. I hardly ever see any North Koreans. Why is that important, and what are you doing to try to ameliorate that?
Well, I think it's very important because anytime you have a protracted issue, such as the human rights atrocities that have been going on in North Korea for decades, you need to have someone from and of the people to be the key advocate in order to find that solution. And right now, in the North Korean human rights sphere, we don't have enough of those. We have men in nice fancy suits, right, yourself and myself included, often white, often South Korean, but we need the North Koreans to be the voice for their own cause.
So what is HanVoice, and what are you guys doing to try to change that conversation?
Well, firstly, we're a Canadian organization. We're hoping to mobilize Canadians to act and to help on the North Korean human rights issues. But secondly, we have a couple of programs that we have implemented to try to get talented North Korean refugees, give them the skills to be proper advocates, teach them how to rub elbows with parliamentarians, and hopefully one day they will be ready to take on this cause themselves.
When you see what's happening at the Olympics, it feels like an amazing opportunity. It feels like there are conversations that are happening. Are we seizing that opportunity?
I think in a large part, the Olympics has been used as an opportunity for the North Korean government to try to play this charm offensive, as the media is calling it. Basically, they're trying to drive a wedge between South Korea and the USA. It's all geopolitics.
Right.
What we're not seeing, though, is what the rest of the North Koreans, the 99% in North Korea, are going through. And I think it's really important that although we're seeing this beautiful cheerleader squad from North Korea, we have to remember that the 99% don't see the light of day. They don't even get to watch the Olympics.
Right.
And so what organizations need to do and what the media needs to do is it needs to bring attention to the people.
And what can Canada, I mean, not just the people, but the government of Canada, what can we do to try to help in that?
Well, a few things. Firstly, continue to support the United Nations and their inquiries into situations like North Korea. But secondly, there's a unique situation that I think begs for Canada's attention right now. Currently, South Korea is the only country that will accept North Korean refugees from transit countries like Thailand. I think there's an opportunity here for Canada to be the second country to take on overseas refugees and have Canadians like you and I privately sponsor them and bring them in. Only about 1,000 North Koreans escape every year, and surely Canada can do its part to take on maybe 10 or 20 of them per year.
Are those, like, is that a lobbying effort? Are you speaking to your MP? Are you speaking to, from an organizational point of view, you got 150 or so members across the country. You know, are you trying to put that on the table in terms of what the government can do?
Absolutely. In 2015, we got the Conservative government to pledge, if re-elected, they would implement this program. Since then, we've appeared at the House of Commons Subcommittee for Human Rights. We've also appeared in front of the Standing Subcommittee for the Senate on Human Rights. They actually recommended that there be such a program. And finally, most recently, we've started meeting with the Liberal government. And our hope is that sometime in the next few years, they will implement this pilot program so that everyday Canadians can be active in supporting refugees.
You have experience working with these refugees, people who defected, people that escaped from the north. What has that been like?
It's been interesting. In some ways, they're time capsules. Most of what we know about North Korea comes out of these refugees who come and take part in surveys and give us information about what's going on right now. North Korea is such a closed environment that usually we don't get information unless some refugee brings it out. And so, again, it's been like a time capsule, and each refugee has their own unique story, embedded in time as well, because North Korea has been changing a little bit on the ground.
I think a lot of people would look at the opportunity, whether it's like, yes, the North Koreans are trying to spin this as best they can to do this PR charm campaign, as you call it, at the Olympics, but there is this opportunity that we haven't seen in a long time of bringing these worlds together. Is it important to have these conversations and hear from survivors, hear from people that have escaped, hear from defectors, as important as recognizing what this moment could mean in terms of reunification, in terms of like moving forward through this?
I think you need to take both. So maybe not viewing it as a trade-off, maybe thinking to yourself, it is great that the world gets to see an opportunity for the two Koreas to play nice and be buddies, finally. But on the other hand, I think that it is still important to, while we can, again, appreciate what North and South Korea are doing right now from a political consumption perspective, I still think that it's very important that we still turn our mind to the people. After all, it is 24 million people in a country of 25 million that are still suffering under the grip of a totalitarian regime. And we cannot forget that whatever we do, we have to make sure we have their interests in mind as well.
And just lastly, how are you optimistic? Are you hopeful? Are you as pessimistic as what are you feeling as you're watching this all unfold in Pyeongchang?
I'm always cautiously optimistic. That's probably why I'm the executive director of this organization. But all in all, we're looking for North Korea to start a brighter future, and we're trying to give it every opportunity it can. Civil society groups like ours, we can try to help frame that discussion in the national public. And hopefully it will be one where there's a peaceful solution on the Korean Peninsula.
Well, listen, I really appreciate making the time to come in today. It's nice to hear this.
Thank you.
Christopher Kim, thank you for joining us. Christopher is the executive director of the nonprofit organization HanVoice.